Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I do believe that because it's been 22 years for Ingenious as well.
yeah, it's
So,
crazy. And we've been working together almost that long too.
oh yeah, I mean, the projects that we were working on were 11B.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember I had the first. I was working for Lucent, and I had the first Orinoco, Wi-Fi adapter and access point. The access point had a little, actually had a 11B card in there, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the way to go. Wires are out. Like, so I'm like, I'm gonna concentrate on this. All my other network engineers were worried about switching and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be the future. Um, so yeah, that's cool. 22 years. All right.
22 years, yep. And what's interesting is we went through all the different like
Oh
11B,
yeah.
11A, 11G, 11N, everything AC. So it's been interesting so far. So I can't wait for Wi-Fi 6E.
The next one. Yeah, there's always gonna be something better. But 11B was great. It was better than nothing. Better than plugging in. It was like amazing, right? It was like
Oh yeah.
witchcraft. That
Yeah.
worked. So all right. So a couple other things I want to talk about. All right. So you want to talk about rogue APs, which
Yeah.
that again, this is a problem that's been talked about forever. Um, but it's still a problem even today, right? You think that all these advancements and all these Wi-Fi management systems
Yeah.
would be able to get rid of this or mitigate it somehow, but and they can, right? That's kind of what you want to hit on too.
So we like to talk about some of the problems that we run across with different customers, and this particular case came in, and there was another IP address on the network, and it just caused so many problems. So what we found out is there was a technician at this company that tried to help with providing more Wi-Fi in a particular area,
Mm.
and they brought in an access point, and they because they knew the SSID, they knew the security, they put the same SSID, the same security, but put it on a different subnet.
Oh,
Yeah, with obviously with a router, right?
yeah.
So you had a mix of people connecting to
Oof.
those to that access point,
Yeah.
and just running into all kinds of problems. So, but it didn't take too long to figure out because, they're on a different IP address.
Mm-hmm.
Start, and then you can just go to the gateway and understand. Okay, go to the gateway. What's the gateway? And luckily that we knew, or they knew uh, what gateway it was,
Yeah.
right? So, but yeah, this problem continues to pop up. In fact, Genius will be launching a product around November timeframe that will help with like Rogue AP, Rogue SSIDs,
Nice.
a number of different things. So, yeah, that was one of the cases that popped up that, like you said, you don't think these things still happen. And a lot of the cases, from what I understand, it happens internally, and it's
Yeah.
by mistake, really,
Oh
more than
yeah.
any.
Yeah. So what it is someone they maybe they're at their desk and their Wi-Fi is not strong enough, or they want to connect like some device that they brought from home, but maybe can't connect to the corporate Wi-Fi. So they go to Best Buy and they just buy like the cheapest Linksys and they plug it into the port next to their phone, right? Like
Yeah,
and all of a sudden they have their own hotspot. They think it's awesome, but like you
yeah,
said, even if they configure it the same, it's probably worse if they configure it the same, because then you have other people in the business connecting to it,
yeah,
and there could be security holes in there. They could be sniffing all the traffic. Not probably not. That's not the majority of what happens. It's just like someone that doesn't know any better just does it. But then it'll somebody in the parking lot could connect to that, and
yeah.
they could put an open SSID on it to make it easier, and then that's a
That's the
hole
bigger
right in your
problem.
network, right?
Yeah, that's the bigger problem. So the SSID will be the name, but the network will be open. It'll allow anybody to connect.
Right.
So yeah, and that's when you get into like the man in the middle kind of
Yeah.
situations where they leave it open, and the Wi-Fi signal is better, right?
Yeah.
And so somebody connects to it, and they're like, "Oh, this is great. I have great signal," but they're monitoring, that person is monitoring your connection the whole time.
And there's ways to detect the rogue APs, like based on basically the wired side and the wireless side. Your system can search for MAC addresses that are outside of your known access points, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it can look for SSIDs, again, MAC addresses
The
that,
SSIDs
yeah,
specifically.
even if they're the same, it can look, be like, oh, this MAC address is a rogue, on the wireless MAC or the wired MAC. You can maintain a list of those.
Yep. Yeah, you can maintain a list. You can maintain a list of SSIDs as well. Yeah, but yeah, that was just an interesting case.
Yeah.
That, we don't see too often, but that was something that just popped up.
I mean, other network rogue APs are one thing. Like that's something like you'd see your neighbor's access point, right? And it's not really a rogue to you because it's not on your wire, right? But if it's on your wire, that's way worse. Because then that's the one you're really looking for. All right, so yeah, we're looking forward to that new that distributed product that will help enforce more wireless security. I think people really like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hopefully, we're looking at November timeframe. So it's right around the corner. You'll start to see more information come out about that, and there's a couple other things coming out around that timeframe as well.
Nice. That'll be useful. All right, I wanted to hit on a little bit of news. We're gonna add a new news section in here, and we talk about maybe having some guests soon. Now that we're getting this thing locked down. So we've been hearing like some rumors about the iPhone 13 that it's gonna have LEO satellite radio in it also. So what does that mean? I don't know. No one knows yet exactly, but it's not one thing for sure. It's not gonna replace Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's probably going to be like a backup radio they're using in like low signal areas, like where you're somewhere out in the desert, there's not a tower, or you're at the beach and there's no towers around.
Or Yellowstone.
Yellowstone, exactly. I was in Yellowstone for like an hour. There was no cell coverage, right, going through the park. So I don't think you're going to be able to like stream Netflix over this. I think it's going to be more like you'll be able to send text messages. Maybe make a call, and they're saying it may be rolled in. The carrier may include that like in your 5G plan, but it's going to use like a low Earth orbit satellite system, like SpaceX Starlink, but they're thinking it's going to be a different network. They don't think that Apple and SpaceX are working together on that, but no, that's going to be interesting to add another radio. So we definitely have to get this, and maybe they'll even have Wi-Fi 6E radio.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, that's the other thing I want to talk about. Like, so will it have Wi-Fi 6E? I'd probably say no, because we haven't seen any access points out yet, really yet, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's not. I don't. Yeah, I would agree. I don't. I think they could wait another
cycle, another year.
Yeah. Before they do that. I mean, there are definitely companies out there rolling out 6E, but it hasn't been, maybe because my finger's not on the pulse in regards to that. But yeah, it would make more sense if it was a year from now.
Yeah, I mean, there may be some consumer routers coming out that have support Wi-Fi 6E.
There already are.
Yeah, there are. But what are they using it for? There are no client devices. Like there may be some adapters, client adapters also.
There's some adapters out there that you can buy, and I've heard testing results are amazing.
Insane, right? Yeah.
Over a gig.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi speed, crazy. Yeah. So, I'm excited for that to come out. Obviously, we'll have a 6E device come out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think if anybody comes out with the 6E, maybe the Samsung. I don't know. I haven't looked at Samsung. I think Apple will wait a little bit longer, so probably next September, right, time frame.
Yeah, especially if they really are going to add this LEO satellite radio. They're not going to do those both probably in one refresh unless the chipset is already evolved. That seems to be a lot.
That would be a lot to put on. I mean, that seems like it would be very buggy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see them doing that, but yeah, you're right. Maybe some of the Android manufacturers will definitely put 6E in first. That's what we saw with Wi-Fi 6. We saw like the Galaxy S10 I had, that was what I had to do my first Wi-Fi 6 testing with.
Yeah. So will you get the new iPhone?
Oh, of course. The first day possible. That baby's gonna be ordered, and I'm gonna sell this obsolete iPhone 12 Pro. You can buy it if you want. I'm gonna put it on eBay.
Yeah, if you want to buy it, make a comment.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a link to
There's
eBay.
gonna be two of them.
Yeah,
Two.
exactly. We'll have two for one. All right. So the other thing. Oh, so the other thing we want to talk about is there's been a lot of disasters lately, like in New Orleans. We just had the hurricane down there. It's crazy. This happened again, and the cell towers are out. People can't communicate. So that's the kind of situation that sometimes you'd want to maybe give away your Wi-Fi, right? So if you do have power and internet connectivity, maybe you don't normally do this, but you'd want to share that with the community, maybe to help.
Yeah,
how would you do that safely?
At least the first responders.
Yeah, even the first responders, right? So how would you do that safely, though? Like, you want to help, but you don't want to get your network hacked either, right?
You can do that. I mean, I think it would be pretty easy, but you might correct me on that. If you have a router that has VLAN capabilities, you could put out a SSID, put it on a VLAN, and put it to open, or use Facebook Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm just kidding. No.
Well, you could use the Facebook Wi-Fi and put it onto put it on a guest network, right? Like at the minimum, use a guest network, which will put that entire SSID and all the users on its own subnet, so they're not able to like see onto your main subnet, right? So it'll isolate that. So one, use at least a guest network. Two, turn on L2 isolation.
Yep.
Which means that the people connected to their SSID won't be able to hack each other. They won't be able to see each other's shares and things like that on their computer, right? So protect them from themselves. Use guest network, level 2 isolation. And then if you have the expertise and the right equipment, use a VLAN also. Put that whole thing on a VLAN so that it's logically separated from your entire network out to the router.
Yeah, and you could easily do that with like an outdoor access point, like the ECW2. I would do the ECW 260 or the 160.
Yeah.
You just put that thing outside, and it broadcasts pretty far. But it depends on the client. But that would be an easy way to do it, and you could. If you don't have a router that has the capabilities of doing inter VLAN, you could still put up a guest network.
Yeah.
And L2 isolation, NAT it out, and that would work. I mean, it just really depends on how many people you have around that you could share it with, or any business that's out there that has power. You could provide that to like the first responders or like anybody that's in that area, basically.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're gonna have a lot of people, you may put multiple access points, ECW 260s outdoors. You can mount these things on like tripods temporarily, like like camera tripods. We've seen people doing that. So, you do like temporary mounts on tripods mounted to the buildings, but maybe like one AP will handle like maybe 100 users, something like that, in close proximity.
Yeah, I mean, theoretical, like the 11AX access points can do up to 1,000 concurrent, but like 500 on 2.4 and 500 on 5. So, I mean, you got to be careful with that. It all depends on like the applications that are running on that particular network.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it would be pretty easy to do. I mean, we run into like pop-up events a lot of times, and they use tripods to throw up those access points. Now, the other thing I would bring up too is we have another device called the Duraphone.
Yeah.
In the Duraphone, we actually used to have a disaster like kit, and it would be multiple handsets and a base, and that travels really, really far. I mean you can't offer that as a business, but that is another device that we've used in like in these types of situations where you have first responders that can communicate at a very long range. It works on 900 megahertz, so it operates on across a very long range, and they can do walkie-talkie communication and phone communication. Basically they backhaul it to like a satellite, or some other kind of backhaul.
Hmm.
But that's another thing that people can do as well.
Yeah, yeah. So they could use the Zerr phones can go like a mile, right? Like in line of sight, close to it.
Huh. Yeah, they 300,000 acres
Yeah,
basically is I think the outdoor
they
range,
can go
and
far.
that's not marketing. That's not marketing terms.
No,
That's actual like testing.
yeah,
It's ridiculous on how far you can go.
yeah. 900 megahertz will go far, and you're just doing voice on it. With no, analog voice over 900 megahertz is like real, real far probably. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's just something. If anyone has any these disaster scenarios coming to us, we can recommend what you should do. But I know there's a lot of people do that sort of thing.
Yep.
All right, anything else you want to talk about this week, Brian?
Wow, that was quick. Did we talk about everything?
I think so. I mean, we hit on a few different things. Oh, I want to talk about one other thing related to the iPhone 13. So 3G cell coverage is ending too. So that's gonna maybe push some more devices onto Wi-Fi, or just because like there's some of these older devices like maybe security systems and things like that are using 3G, and that's coming to end soon. Like I just had my ADT system upgraded to LTE because the 3G radios were not, they're going to be taking those offline. So probably more opportunity for Wi-Fi devices, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the onboarding of or offloading from cellular to Wi-Fi has always been like a huge thing. So that's
Yeah.
going to add even more to it.
Yeah, exactly. Because if they, when they look at replacing these things, they may be like, oh, we don't really need cell for this anymore,
Yeah.
because we have all these Internet of Things, that, tiny devices that can connect to the Wi-Fi, and
Yeah.
not have to be hardwired in, and still have a good solid connection. So that,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
one other thing I saw
with
in
the,
the news.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say with 11ax, I mean, the amount of devices that you can add to an access point, per access point is just growing. And then the addition of 6E on 6 gigahertz,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it will add even more client devices on, an access point. So yeah, you'll be able to offload a lot of devices to like access points or Wi-Fi.
And because we first heard when 5G came out that, oh, this is gonna kill Wi-Fi, because like this 5G you can have so many devices on it, and it's gonna
Yeah.
provide so much bandwidth. But what have we seen? We've seen this Wi-Fi grow even more, because like
Yeah.
again, any kind of cellular, everything's gonna migrate to the lowest cost, and the unlicensed Wi-Fi is always gonna be the lowest cost. It's gonna be standardized. Everyone's gonna be able to get the chipsets, and cellular is really still only used for just those cases where you absolutely need to have connectivity.
Yeah.
So
That's what it's been since
Yeah.
for 20 years.
exactly,
Right? People
they've
trying to
always
figure
been
out.
they always the next cellular standard comes out, and they're like, oh yeah, it's gonna no more. It's not gonna need Wi-Fi anymore. You're gonna have this built into your laptop, but then you're gonna pay another $30 a month or whatever to use it. No one ever does that. It's like they just tether to their Wi-Fi, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
it's way
So
better,
it's
and it's usually a better experience because it's more predictable. When you're near the access point, you're going to get good signal, whereas even 5G, like, you don't know what's going on. Like, it can fade in and out, or it's great like in the cities maybe, but still the fastest thing right now is Wi-Fi 6.
yeah. Yeah,
All right,
for
Brian,
sure.
I think that's it for this week. So remember to like and subscribe for more help with Wi-Fi.